Did you know that the number of private companies launching into space is growing? Can you guess who's leading this celestial race? Or perhaps, did you know that there's a particular spaceship stirring up a lot of controversy recently? And have you ever wondered what the big fuss is about it all? Hold on, space and tech enthusiasts. We're about to dive deep into the exciting and somewhat controversial world of SpaceX's Starship Block 2. You may or may not be familiar with Elon Musk's ambitious plans to colonize Mars, but the Starship Block 2 is a significant player in this cosmic game. If you're ready to explore the unknown, pull up a chair and join us as we unravel the grand venture of Starship Block 2, its unique features, its potential for a future beyond our planet, and yes, the controversies that surround it. Stay tuned, and let's journey together to the final frontier. SpaceX has finally initiated the static fire test for their massive, supersized Starship rocket booster. So how did it go? Well, you're not alone. We're also seeing the second Starship launch tower coming up at a pace faster than a rocket, although it's slightly behind schedule. What's more, the new variant, version 2 of the Starship, is under construction. Isn't that exciting? Now, is this latest version really that much better? In parallel, NASA's SLS moon rocket has made its way to Florida, preparing for its first ever launch carrying people to the moon. Isn't that something? Hi, I'm Felix, and I'm thrilled to welcome you to our exciting world of space updates. Let's plunge straight into it. Many were waiting for this moment, and you may think the usage of the word finally is a bit exaggerated. But when you look at SpaceX's progress over the last week, their speed and efficiency have been incredible. The booster was fueled and tested almost daily, leading to a spectacular display. The spectacle we're talking about is something SpaceX is turning into a routine. You might have guessed right, we're referring to the flap test. Now hang on, I'm just teasing you. The natural spectacle was the full 33-engine static fire test of the most potent rocket the world has ever witnessed. Absolutely breathtaking. More to come soon from SpaceX. After verifying from X, we can now say with complete certainty that SpaceX has indeed completed an entire duration of static fire, most probably using all 33 engines they have. They carry out these static fires to double-check that all their engines are running smoothly and that everything else appears normal for lifting the giant 5 million kilograms or 11 million pound spacecraft into space. Once again, we took to the sky in our helicopter, thanks to the Redline helicopter tour. Thus, we were able to have a closer look at the launch mount right after the static fire. Other than a few burn marks, it seemed untouched. This is the last significant test that SpaceX needs to conduct on Booster 12 before going for a full wet dress rehearsal or WDR. This is when the booster and the upper stage Starship are stacked together, filled with fuel as they run a mock countdown towards launch. Now that the static fire is done and dusted, the following steps for SpaceX include carrying out post-static fire checks and any last bits of prep work remaining before the full dress rehearsal and the actual launch. Guess what this means? It's time for the booster to journey back to the production yard for these checks. On the 16th, we watched the chopsticks arrange themselves around Booster 12. They then hoisted the 71-meter or 233-foot steel can into the sky. These special lifting arms, or chopsticks as people call them, carefully maneuvered the booster over the transportation stand. The chopsticks then brought it tenderly into the stand, where it sat still for half an hour. The booster was then lifted once more, but something seemed off. It seemed like things weren't going exactly as planned. Team members were spotted ascending in manned lifts to do some rapid work on the booster. After about an hour, the booster was gently lowered again. Our attention now shifts to Tower B. SpaceX gave the tower a growth boost. We like to think it fed it some miracle grow. The tower has now grown another section taller. SpaceX hoisted and stacked a second module of the tower on the same 16th day. So, it took SpaceX 5 days to stack the second module after the first one. In the previous episode, we asked whether SpaceX would work on the internals before lifting the next segment to the top. The answer is now clear. SpaceX has decided to focus more on speed and leave the connecting pipes for later. As we've been saying for the past few months, a majority of the internals for each segment are finished on the ground before SpaceX commences stacking the tower. It's like a rocket ready to skyrocket. not quite finished yet. You see, the first module's construction resembled this. When the second tower module was layered, the roads were closed again, hinting at SpaceX's next plan. And it proved true. On the 16th night, the third module journeyed to the second launch tower. It's set to be attached to a crane and raised above the tower. Now, SpaceX is moving at an impressively quick pace. But it seems they're trailing behind their timeline. How can we be sure? Well, remember the FAA filing? It mentioned stacking the first 6 sections of the tower by the 27th. But it looks like they'll have only 4 sections by then. We should point out that this hiccup was perhaps due to the 2 hurricanes that only brushed past Starbase yet caused a slowdown. Therefore, SpaceX must pick up the pace or extend the FAA filing. When we had a bird's eye view of the site with Redline Heli, we noticed some intriguing changes at the launch site. The early stages of work on the new orbital launch mount seemed to have paused. It began a few weeks prior with more pilings, but it stopped quite soon. However, it could restart again soon. Our talented photographer, John, spotted an unusual item. What's that, you ask? These are bags of bore gel used for drilling or boring. Why does SpaceX need this? To build robust supports for the massive, hefty structures at Starbase to prevent them from sinking. So, SpaceX may be set to start drilling supports for another large structure. Imagine soaring above Starbase and spotting an enormous pit. It could be a kind of inverted water tank or a place to catch rain. Over in Mega Bay 1, the mighty Booster 12 is preparing to take flight. Can you guess what's planned? A unique catch test using the powerful arms of Mechazilla. Meanwhile, Ship 30 is having a little spa treatment, getting new tiles fitted on its nose cone and flaps. This is all in preparation to defend against the heat when it returns to Earth from space. On the other hand, Ship 33 is being decked out for its 7th flight, featuring some cool new upgrades as part of SpaceX's Block 2 Starship. Over at Mega Bay 2, Ship 31 is perched on the Raptor installation stand. It might soon be performing a static fire test. How exciting is that? Elsewhere, NASA's amazing Space Launch System, also known as SLS, is getting set for a big mission called Artemis 2. Its core stage is being transported to the Kennedy Space Center. The SLS is pretty neat. It uses 4 RS-25 engines on the famous space shuttle to propel its main stage. However, it's been having some trouble with its heat shield ablation, causing a delay in the Artemis 2 launch. Unlike the space shuttle, the SLS core stage doesn't reuse engines. Instead, it releases them into the ocean once they've done their job. Finally, let's not forget that the Apollo 11 moon landing anniversary is near. Remember this significant moment in 1969 when humans first set foot on the moon. So that wraps up our video for today. Thank you for spending time with us, and stay tuned for more stuff like this.